after spending just 2 minutes in the octagon in the previous 15 months. It appears, from what Khamzat is saying, the UFC finally has a fight for him in Abu Dhabi, which more than likely will be at UFC 294. We'll gladly get into this topic and look at the best upcoming UFC fights next.
Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is The Community MMA with your host, Chris Cross. Finally. It's a great day to be a UFC fan, baby. It's a great day to be a UFC fan. Because your boy Khamzat is coming. Conor McGregor is coming. Two of my favorite fighters in all of UFC history. But Khamzat, right now, is number one on the do list for a reason. I mean, the guy is number one on the do list for a reason. There it is right there. Yeah, above John Jones, Islam, Yuri, Aljamain Sterling, Colby Covington, Adesanya, Volkanovski, Edwards, Jamal Hill. He sits at number one. Those are my 10 favorite fighters right now, by the way. Khamzat is number one. And we really go out on a limb for this guy because we believe he's the future champ. And we've been speaking with the loudspeaker for a year and more right now. We told you the Nate Diaz fight was garbage. No point in having that fight. It turns out that he fought Kevin Holland instead. Probably a better fight to see just because Kevin Holland is still a rising guy. A guy that you think, okay, this could be a challenge for Khamzat. Nope, it didn't turn out that way. And Khamzat is saying that the UFC finally has a fight for him. Told him that he will be fighting in Abu Dhabi. And this is a celebration, ladies and gentlemen. This is a celebration. Because we've been waiting for this. Khamzat says, UFC told us we have a fight in Abu Dhabi, so that's what I'm waiting for. I'm already here in Dubai. Living here. Training camp. Everything is good. So I've been in shape for a long time now. I've been in Thailand training camp. I've been here in training camp. I've been in Sweden training. So just waiting for the opponent and the contract. So we'll see what's going to happen. And the belief is that he's fighting Kamaru Usman. Didn't we ask for this fight for the last 3 years, right? When Usman was the champion? And isn't it funny that Usman wanted nothing to do with Khamzat? Zero, right? Why do you think that is? Because he knows Khamzat's a tough fight. Now Usman realizes, okay, I lost the title. I'm not beating Leon Edwards, or I didn't beat him, and I'm likely not to get another shot. I'm like Colby Covington right now, who lost to Usman twice. I'm not getting... So now let me start making some money before I ride out into the sunset. And Khamzat says, he knows where the money's at. He says, Usman wants to fight. I'll make his last fight. He wants money. He knows where the money is. Everybody knows the money. Now I'm going to fight this guy in Abu Dhabi and smash him, finish him. Then they have to give me that title shot. The unfortunate thing here is that he's still not going to get a title shot. I mean, if he fights Usman at 170, that makes the fight much more interesting because there's a lot of people that question whether Khamzat can make weight or not, right? They question whether this guy can make weight. So it's more interesting if it's at welterweight. It's scarier for me personally as a fan if it's at welterweight because I don't see any reason for him to fight in welterweight right now because they've been making him wait too long. And as you creep up into those later 20s, you start getting closer to 30. Making that weight is harder to do. You can do it, but your strength is not there. And he looked like he was in trouble at times against Gilbert Burns. There were other things going on at that point in time, which played a factor against Gilbert Burns. But the fact is that weight cut caused him a problem. Then you can get on him for the Nate Diaz weight miss, but there was no motivation to, I mean, listen, for him to get to 170, he's got to really squeeze down. It's like McGregor getting to 155 still. That's crazy. And if you saw McGregor forever, you see what he had to go through to get to 155. I mean, and you're going to do all that to fight Nate Diaz? because the UFC needs someone to go in there and beat Nate Diaz in his last UFC fight to diminish his value and maybe make him re-sign with the UFC? I mean, let's be honest, that's what was really going on. And some of you out there are like, oh, he missed weight, the UFC should punish him. Come on, man. Come on, man. So he fights Kevin Holland at a weight that Kevin Holland is more comfortable, where he don't have to cut weight. It wasn't even middleweight, it was 180, and just smashed him. He just smashed him. And this is what it sounded like that night. And as I played this clip back when him and Kevin Holland fought, please understand that when him or McGregor fight, even Adesanya really, I'm a nervous wreck. But when Khamzat is fighting, I'm really a nervous wreck because of all the trash I've talked over the last 3 or 4 years. You know, it's like saying, hey, I'm going to graduate high school, and you're telling your whole family, you're telling everybody, I'm going to do it, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to make it through. And then senior year, you quit, and you don't get your high school diploma. Now you got to see all those people, and they're like, I thought you said you were going to do this, or I thought you said you were going to do that. So if Khamzat loses, I'm in trouble, man. Because you think there's some comments now in the Q&A toward the end of the show. Wait till you see what happens if Khamzat loses. Because everybody that hasn't been to the channel in a long time, or is a regular person that isn't like me or a few others that say Khamzat is going to win it all those people are coming back to let me know that I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. Forget the record this year of 130 and 72, right? Those 130 correct predictions, which is probably one of the best out there right now, or at least I'm definitely up there in the top 10 with whoever's up there. Went 10-2 last week to set us up for the break. So you got all these things going on. All that is diminished if Khamzat loses a big fight. It just is. And if this fight takes place, it's going to be in October. I mean, by that time, we're going to have hopefully a great record if the year continues the way it's going. And all that comes crashing down, and I'm back to crisscross. You don't know what you're talking about. So I'm a nervous wreck when the fight comes on. Now, you may not see it on me because I'm going to be pumped up because my man's fighting. But at the same time, I'm a nervous wreck. Khamzat has to win. So I wanted to set this clip up so you understand what's going through my head in this fight. But thankfully, the fight against Kevin Holland, which was a much better fight than Nate Diaz for me. I'm glad that it happened that way. Forget Nate Diaz. He would have smashed Nate Diaz. Okay, let's be clear about that. So this was a much better fight because I wanted Khamzat to be tested. And he wasn't tested at all. And I might add, Kevin Holland came back and beat Santiago Ponzinibbio, who was 30-6. Okay? And finished him. So don't tell me Kevin Holland isn't a bad dude. I'm trying to tell you. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, Khamzat. Let's go, baby. And we're seconds away from this thing kicking off. Herb Dean pushing Khamzat Chimaev back, and here we go. Here we go. No touching the gloves on this one. Kevin Holland tries to touch gloves, and that's a major mistake. He gets taken down right away. And Kevin Holland gets back to his feet. And Kevin Holland good at defending these positions, so. But Khamzat Chimaev is the guy that when he gets a hold of you, he's tough. Kevin Holland's talking to him a little bit, though. And Khamzat on top. Now Kevin Holland's got the arms wrapped around, or the legs wrapped around. But it's Khamzat standing up on top. And the fans chant USA. And Khamzat very aggressive now. On top. And it's Kevin Holland desperately trying to get Khamzat off of him. Kevin Holland works to a better position, gets taken down again. And Holland's trying to get out of it. Man, a lot of wrestling here. And Khamzat is on top. Oh, he's got a DRS attempt in, but it's not tight. Kevin Holland's all right for right now, but man. It's nonstop, relentless pressure from Khamzat Chimaev. Now a nice DRS choke in now for Khamzat, and Holland trying to get out of it. Come on, Khamzat. Oh, now Kevin Holland's close to getting on top. And Khamzat continues with the DRS choke here. Man, and Kevin Holland's in trouble a little bit. Now he rolls out of it. And Khamzat goes right back to it. Man, relentless, man. Relentless. And Khamzat is squeezing, but Kevin Holland continues to roll out of it. And Khamzat rolls back again. And, man, Kevin Holland is really good, but, man, Khamzat Chimaev is even better with the DR's choke. And Kevin Holland's in a little bit of trouble here. He's not moving as much. Come on, let's finish this, Khamzat. Let's finish this. He taps. Let's go. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Woo! Let's go. Kevin Holland is pissed. Man, and Khamzat, I don't care if the fans don't like it or not. I'm trying to tell you, Khamzat Chimaev, relentless pressure, bro. Relentless pressure. And the fact that people were upset with him coming into this fight should mean that you respect him even more. Because this guy can't, look, you see the touch of the gloves by Kevin, and right away, Khamzat goes in for the takedown. So big mistake right there from Kevin Holland. I mean, Kevin Holland's got his hand in the air for the touch, and Khamzat comes right in for the takedown. I was getting ready to say from the onset, no touch of gloves for Khamzat. And by that point, he gets a DR's choke. Kevin Holland gets out a few times, but Khamzat is relentless. And eventually, Kevin Holland is forced to tap. Wow.
Yeah, and Khamzat got no respect from that win, right? Because now it's, oh, he didn't make weight, and the UFC shouldn't give him a fight, and, you know, come on. We're about to hit, think about it, that was UFC 279. He's not going to fight till UFC 294. That's 15 pay-per-view events. That's roughly 15 months. Maybe you got a couple months where there's two, so maybe it's like a year, 12 months, 13 months. That's how long he's had to wait to fight. So he's paid his dues now for missing weight, okay? And I know he's got the visa issues and all that, but come on, man. The UFC is global. They can go, I mean, they have no problem going to London or anywhere. And they love Abu Dhabi. So if Khamzat's got to fight in Abu Dhabi, then the UFC needs to make it happen. And you know what's going to happen when he beats Usman. Oh, Usman's washed up, this, that, and the third. Usman still beat Colby twice. He ruled the welterweight division for years. And if Khamzat goes in there and smashes him, I don't want to hear anything. I'm not talking about a 5th round KO like Leon Edwards or a 5-round decision. I'm talking about if he goes in there and beats him in the 1st, 2nd, even the 3rd, and finishes him. Come on, man. I don't want to hear it that Usman's washed up. I don't want to hear it. And if this thing is at middleweight, Usman is going to be feeling great. He's going to think about how big he is at welterweight. Talk about middleweight. He's going to come in looking huge, like a true middleweight contender. And maybe some of the problems that Usman is having right now, because again, later in your career, it's harder to make weight. That might be the issue. That's a big guy trying to get to 170. He goes up to 185. He's going to be huge and feeling like a new man. So he's coming in at his best. I don't care what anybody says. And when Khamzat smashes him, he deserves to get credit. I don't want to hear anything. I'm just letting you know now. I'm not reading any comments that says Usman's washed up. Khamzat goes on and says, I'm the biggest name without the belt, no doubt. So when you fight with me, it's more money, more fans. When I fight, everyone is waiting for my fights. When I fight with Gilbert Burns, we weren't the main event. Everyone was waiting for us, and it's true. Even Cristiano Ronaldo, a famous guy, a legend from football. A lot of guys are asking me, when am I going to fight? When I smash somebody. This is the fight business. Everybody has to fight and make money. If you don't sell tickets, you don't make money. That's the bottom line. He continues, I want to say to Usman, I am ready. Just sign the contract. Let's fight. Let's make money. You want the money? You want the money fight? Let's go. I'm going to squeeze your head. It doesn't matter. Let's go. Let's fight. The weight classes, if you feel the best, you don't need to speak about weight class. I feel the best. For me, it doesn't matter. I cut on fight night to 170 or 185. All weight classes, I'm the king. And I mean, that's the one thing I wouldn't have said. I wouldn't open the door to 170. And maybe it is best, because maybe he gets a weak Usman, who then maybe you got some room to say, hey, okay, Usman's washed up at welterweight, but if he go, I want to see this fight at middleweight. Because I don't think if he beats Usman, they're giving him a title shot anyway at welterweight. I just don't believe it. And then God forbid, Colby beats Leon and they get a rematch. You're looking at another year or two.
So I want to see this fight at middleweight. If it's going to be a meaningless fight, let's get it at middleweight where he's comfortable, where they're both solid, and there's no excuses. Because neither guy is really a true middleweight right now. I mean, Khamzat is, but he isn't, right? He's not ranked. That's what I want to see, is these guys fighting at their best. And I'm just crazy excited for that fight. Crazy excited. I mean, I wish it was tomorrow. October seems like a long, I mean, that's Halloween. That's a long way. We haven't gotten to the beginning of the summer barely yet. We're talking about he's not fighting until Halloween. Come on, man. But as we march forward, we're talking about some of the best upcoming fights. Let's begin with UFC 289. It's not the big blockbuster pay-per-view card, but you do got Amanda Nunes defending a belt against Irene Aldana, who's got like 5 or 6 losses. So that's not going to go well for Aldana. That's a good fight for Nunes to kind of buy some time as she waits on some of these surging contenders like a Mackenzie Dern and etc. Well, Mackenzie Dern's actually strawweight, but there's some other rising contenders in that division. And Irene Aldana takes this fight on somewhat late notice because she wasn't supposed to be in the fight. You also got in co-main one I like, Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush. That's going to be a good one. But after that, the card is just okay. You know, the card's just okay. And then the week after, you got Vettori versus Cannonier in the main event. That's a good one. UFC Jacksonville. Tell me the Florida fans aren't going to go crazy to see Josh Emmett versus Ilia Topuria, because I'm really excited to see what Topuria can do as he marches up this division. Then you got Sean Strickland versus Abu Magomedov. That's going to be a good one because Magomedov is a rising guy. And then you get to Saturday, July 8th, UFC 290. And this is where you're looking at probably the best card of the year. Just look at the main event. You got Volkanovski versus Rodriguez. Volkanovski wins this fight easily, but a lot of people want to see what Yair is going to do. Brandon Moreno versus Pantoja, a guy that beat him previously. That's going to be a good fight. Trying to steal the belt. Robert Whittaker versus Dricus du Plessis. You know, a title eliminator, which is crazy to me because Khamzat should be in the mix there. I'm very, very interested in Jalen Turner versus Dan Hooker. Jalen Turner fought a tough fight in his previous fight. He'll come back and perform well, but Dan Hooker's really good. But Jalen Turner's a guy I believe that could be at the top of the division if he really focuses and goes on a 3-fight win streak. He's very capable. He's an outside, you know, he's a guy that people are looking past in that division. And then, of course, you got Bo Nickel versus Tresean Gore. That's going to be a warm-up fight for Bo Nickel. He's going to go in there and dominate Tresean Gore. So UFC 290 is looking solid. UFC Vegas 77 the week after, Holly Holm versus Myro Bueno Silva. Holly Holm will dominate there. UFC London, Tom Aspinall versus Marcin Tybura in the heavyweight. And we just continue week after week for like 3 months. I'm going to be a worn-out individual. UFC 291, you got the rematch between Poirier and Gaethje. Wasn't that the fight of the year one year? I'm not sure if I'm right, but that'll go down in Salt Lake City. That'll be part 2. You also got Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira as he makes his way up to the light heavyweight. Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green. Wow, that's interesting. Paulo Costa versus Aliskerov. Okay. And then one of the best fights of the year, and when I was doing my rankings today, and I left that at work, unfortunately, but when I was doing the rankings of the best upcoming fights, I had Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley among the best scheduled fights right now. Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley. And the reason I say that is you got Aljamain Sterling at number 5 on the due list, and you got Sean O'Malley at number 11. So, you know, if Sean O'Malley can pull that thing off, he's going to jump way up. If Aljamain Sterling can win this fight, he probably leaves the bantamweight division, so he doesn't have to fight Dvalishvili, his teammate. And then if Volkanovski wins before that, then you might get an Aljamain Sterling that after he beats O'Malley, if that's the way it comes to fruition, then he starts to call out Volkanovski, or at least gets a shot at somebody to fight a division up in featherweight. And then you got some interest there for me. And Volkanovski's going to have to take that fight because Islam took the fight for him. That's just what's going to have to happen. So you got all these things at play, some great fights, but Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley is probably the best fight, upcoming fight. And I know a lot of you aren't big Aljamain Sterling fans. He's not like a big trending fighter. He should be. He's one of the best bantamweights of all time. He beat Henry Cejudo. It shouldn't have been a split decision. He dominated him in that fight. He beat Piotr Jan when many people thought nobody would beat him. Turns out everybody's beating him now, but Aljamain Sterling has beaten guy after, fighter after fighter, some of the best names in that division's history, and he just continues to march forward. So to me, that's the best fight, and because of the unknown about Sean O'Malley too, who really doesn't want to fight Sterling, but if he wants to fight for the title, he better do it right now. As we move into the Q&A, you got Justin Gonzalez says, seems like more people are finally realizing that Dana is lying every time that he speaks about Khamzat. As brilliant as he's been with the UFC, it seems like he's becoming less and less truthful, I guess he's saying, about when Khamzat's going to fight. And that's because Dana's just trying to, he knows he's got visa issues, things like that. It's hard to get him a fight right now because they're not going to Abu Dhabi. But I agree too. I mean, this guy's got a fight, and they're finally starting to put it out there now. El Tapo Mactapo, a regular, long-time listener. You know, Conor only has 2 fights left on his contract plus sunset clause. This could be his last fight. Yeah, I don't know, man. When I'm watching McGregor Forever on Netflix, if he does take a money fight, then the career is probably over at that point, like in boxing or something like that. But if he seems hungry to me still, and he's only 34. You know, he's at the end of that peak time performance, but he's still very capable of winning. Make no mistake about it. You got Roll89IT, I believe, says, but I thought it was his old coach's fault. That's what people who don't know anything said. People blamed him, saying it was his fault when his striking is good. Talking about Edmund Shabazian. And that was a crazy win by Anthony Hernandez this past weekend. Unbelievable win. Back to Khamzat. King Terzi says, Adesanya running from Khamzat per usual. Usman asked Dana, then Dana shut it down. The UFC is messing up Khamzat Chimaev. And that's what you keep getting from person after person. D. Micah Reynolds says, Dern, ? I believe the girl. She put a beat down on the chick she was fighting. Angela Overkill Hill. Future champion, very well rounded and tough to beat. She will run through Doug Rose and be champion. Her skills are top tier, the perfect package. And she's got a little ways to go, but I'm with you. I'm with you, Reynolds, on that. And then Wafik says, that is sad. Looking at Diego Ferreira's KO of Michael Johnson, which was totally unexpected. Not necessarily before the fight, because anything is possible, and Diego Ferreira is a very good Brazilian fighter. But when you watch that fight play out after the first round, and you're like, oh man, Michael Johnson, I'm saying it during the reaction as I'm watching the fight is going Michael Johnson's way. And then here comes the right, bing, and it's over. And I mean, it was over. If there's ever been a fight that was over on one punch, that was Diego Ferreira's KO of Michael Johnson. So you got all these things going on in the UFC right now. We got a week off this week. So we're really looking at the future and what big fights are coming up. There's a lot of them, but none is bigger than Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley. And as soon as they announce Khamzat, that's the biggest upcoming fight. Khamzat is right. He's the money guy. Excuse me. Khamzat is the money guy. Make no mistake about it. You know, if it's not for a title, some guys are going to want to fight him right now for the money, especially a Usman, who is getting toward the end of his career. Don't get me wrong. He's getting toward the end. So he wants the money fight. So now all of a sudden, it's like, I'll fight Khamzat. Let me fight Khamzat. Well, where was this 2 years ago when you were the champ? And you acted like Khamzat didn't exist. And now you need Khamzat. And Khamzat should say, no, I'm not fighting you. But the bottom line is Khamzat wants to fight so bad, he'll lock himself in the octagon against anybody. Please believe it. I mean, he will lock himself in the octagon against anybody. So these are some of the trending topics right now. Khamzat trending big time because everybody wants to know. They want that fight to be booked and official and then start the discussion. The discussion's already underway, but until it's official, you really can't lock in on the discussion. But it seems more and more, especially now with Paulo Costa fighting Ikram Aliskerov, that this fight against Usman is going to happen. I mean, there's no one else talking about any other fight. So any other fight announcement for Khamzat would be a shocker. And I hope they put this fight in the main event so it's a 5-rounder, because Khamzat needs to be tested in 5 rounds too. You know, not to say it ever goes that far. And then, you know, you get a guy like Usman that might be thinking this could be a potential 5-round fight, and then Khamzat's going to go in there and finish him in the first. That's my prediction. But, you know, we'll see. For now, listen, we're going to wrap this thing up. I love y'all. Thanks for listening. Khamzat Chimaev smashes everybody. better believe it. This your boy Chris Cross. Have a great day, and God bless. As always,